Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where hidden treasures and amazing discoveries come to life. In today's video, we're counting down the top 15 most valuable rare USA Lincoln dirty wheat pennies worth millions. These old, forgotten coins that once jingled in pockets could now make you unbelievably rich. Stay tuned till the end. You won't believe how much some of these rare wheat pennies have sold for. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins ever produced by the United States Mint, the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but collectors and treasure hunters know better. Sometimes these small copper coins can hide incredible secrets and unbelievable value. So, if you have a jar of old pennies lying around your house, or you inherited a collection from your grandparents, listen carefully, because that little 1940 wheat penny could be worth far more than you can imagine. Now, let's begin our journey into the world of numismatic history, where every coin tells a story, and every detail can mean the difference between a single cent and a small fortune. The year was 1940. The United States was still recovering from the Great Depression, and the dark clouds of World War II were gathering across the Atlantic. It was a time of uncertainty, yet also a period of great innovation in the U.S. Mint. The Lincoln Wheat Cent, designed by Victor David Brenner, had already become one of America's most recognizable coins since its introduction in 1909. Its design featured the beloved profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse displayed two simple wheat stalks curving around the words, 1 cent, a symbol of American strength and prosperity. The 1940 Lincoln penny was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, the one we are focusing on today is the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent, which was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This version does not bear a mint mark beneath the date, and that small missing letter is what makes it stand apart. In 1940, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 586 million Lincoln cents. With such a large number, you might think these coins are common, but not all 1940 pennies were created equal. Subtle differences in die strikes, minting errors, and preservation can turn an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after collector's item worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Let's talk about the composition of this coin. Like other Lincoln wheat pennies from this era, the 1940 no-mint mark penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The rich reddish-brown color of copper gives it that classic look, but it's also what makes the coin sensitive to wear and discoloration. Over time, many of these pennies darkened, tarnished, or corroded, which means finding one in pristine, mint-state condition is extremely rare. So, what makes a 1940 penny valuable? The answer lies in a combination of condition, rarity, and errors. First, the condition of the coin is absolutely critical. Professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC assign grades on a scale from 1 to 70, where 70 represents a flawless, uncirculated coin. Most 1940 pennies found in circulation are in good or fine condition, which means they've lost much of their original luster and detail. However, if you find a 1940 no-mint mark penny with sharp details, bright copper color, and minimal scratches, you may be holding something extraordinary. Collectors especially value coins that have been preserved in mint state, MS, condition, particularly MS65, MS66, or MS67. These grades indicate that the coin was never used in daily transactions and has retained its full brilliance. Such coins can fetch jaw-dropping prices at auctions. Now let's talk about errors and varieties, which are the real treasures for coin enthusiasts. Sometimes, during the minting process, small mistakes occur that go unnoticed, until collectors find them decades later. Some 1940 pennies were struck off-center, while others have doubled die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled due to misalignment in the minting process. These doubled dies can be seen on Lincoln's profile, the date, or even the letters, Liberty and In God We Trust. Another popular variety is the 1940 proof coin, produced in limited quantities for collectors. These proof coins were made with specially polished dies and struck multiple times to create mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. Only about 15,000 proof coins were made in 1940, making them highly collectible. There are also a few rare transitional or experimental pieces rumored to exist from this era, coins struck on the wrong metal planchet or with unique color variations caused by metal impurities. While extremely rare, such coins can bring staggering prices if verified. Let's imagine for a moment that you're going through your old coin jar, and you come across a 1940 penny. It's a bit worn, maybe dark in color, and you think it's just an old coin with no value. But before you toss it aside, look closer. Check the edges, lettering, and surface details. Even a small doubling, a die crack, or an off-center strike can make a world of difference. Many collectors have found coins worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in loose change, simply because they took a second look. The thrill of coin collecting comes from this very possibility, that hidden among millions of coins, a few unique survivors hold immense historical and monetary value. And the 1940 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is a perfect example of this hidden treasure. To give you an idea of how valuable this coin can be, consider this. In the past decade, several high-grade 1940 pennies have sold for massive amounts at prestigious auctions. Coins graded MS67 red, the highest known quality for this issue, have fetched prices that astonished even seasoned collectors. What makes those coins so valuable isn't just their age or rarity, it's their condition and eye appeal. A coin with a flawless strike, bright copper-red color, and no spots or scratches can be a true gem in the world of numismatics. Even the difference between a coin graded MS66 and MS67 can mean thousands of dollars in value. For those interested in starting coin collecting, the 1940 Lincoln Wheat penny is a great starting point. It represents a fascinating chapter in U.S. history and can be found in various conditions at affordable prices, allowing new collectors to learn the basics of grading, spotting errors, and understanding value. If you're searching for one, here are a few quick tips. Keep your coins stored in a dry, temperature-controlled environment. Avoid touching the coin's surface directly. Oils from your fingers can cause discoloration. Use proper holders or coin flips to protect your collection. And if you ever think you've found something special, have it professionally graded before selling. A certified grade can drastically increase a coin's market value. The legacy of the Lincoln Wheat penny continued for decades, becoming a symbol of American resilience and pride. Even after 1958, when the reverse design changed to the Lincoln Memorial, collectors still cherish the original wheatback version as a piece of early 20th century Americana. What's remarkable about the 1940 penny is not just its design or history, but its endurance. Over 80 years later, many of these coins still circulate, hidden in drawers, old jars, and forgotten boxes, silent witnesses to a bygone era. Each one carries the marks of time, and each one has a story to tell. Perhaps yours once passed through the hands of a soldier heading off to war, or a family struggling during the Depression, or a child saving up for their first toy. That's the magic of coin collecting. You're not just holding metal, but a tangible piece of history. Now, the question on everyone's mind: what is the highest value ever recorded for a 1940 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny? While many have sold for hundreds or thousands depending on condition and rarity, one exceptional specimen, preserved in pristine, blazing red condition, graded at the top of the mint state scale, shocked the collecting world when it sold for an extraordinary price of $67,353. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin that once jingled in someone's pocket is now worth more than a brand new luxury car. That's the magic of numismatics, where passion, history, and discovery come together. So, before you spend that old penny, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of American history worth far more than its face value. And who knows, your ordinary-looking 1940 penny could be the one that changes everything. The year was 1941, a time when the United States stood on the edge of one of the most defining moments in history. The world was engulfed in the fires of World War II, and while the nation had not yet entered the conflict, change was already in the air. Factories were roaring to life, workers were flooding into cities, and Americans were unknowingly preparing for the battles to come. Amid all of this, the United States Mint was producing coins that would one day become treasures of history, among them, the 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny. This little copper coin, weighing just over 3 grams, may seem ordinary at first glance. But like many things in history, appearances can be deceiving. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny has become one of the most intriguing and collectible coins in American numismatic history, not because of its material, but because of its story, its details, and the secrets hidden in plain sight. When you hold a 1941 penny in your hand, you're not just holding a coin. You're holding a tiny piece of American history, a witness to an era of uncertainty, innovation, and change. The coin bears the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth. His portrait remains one of the most iconic images ever placed on U.S. currency, stern, wise, and deeply symbolic of American perseverance. But what makes the 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny so special? Let's dive deep into the fascinating details of this coin, its design, its minting, its variations, and most importantly, its value and rarity. During 1941, the United States Mint produced Lincoln Wheat pennies at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Denver bear a small D below the date, and those from San Francisco have an S. However, coins struck in Philadelphia, the nation's oldest mint, carry no mint mark at all. This means that if your 1941 penny doesn't have a letter under the date, it was minted in Philadelphia. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 887 million Lincoln pennies that year, an enormous number. That means this coin is not particularly rare in terms of how many were made. But, as collectors know, age and rarity alone don't determine a coin's true worth. What truly sets valuable coins apart are their errors, conditions, and historical uniqueness. Let's start with condition. Collectors grade coins on a scale from poor to mint state. Most 1941 pennies you find in circulation today are worn, dull, and brownish from decades of use. But a 1941 penny in pristine condition, with a bright red copper color and no scratches, can be a serious find. These uncirculated coins, known as mint state coins, can fetch impressive prices. If your penny shows Lincoln's profile with clear details in his hair, a sharp rim, and crisp wheat stalks on the reverse side, then you may be holding something worth far more than just a single cent. Even a small difference in condition can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars in value difference. Now, let's talk about something even more exciting: minting errors. Mistakes made during the production of coins can make them rare and extremely valuable. And the 1941 penny is no exception. One of the most famous error types is the double die. This occurs when the coin's die, the metal piece used to stamp the coin's design, shifts slightly during production, causing certain parts of the design to appear doubled. On 1941 pennies, collectors have reported examples with doubling on Lincoln's face, the date, or the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." If you ever find a 1941 penny that seems to have slightly doubled letters or numbers, take a closer look with a magnifying glass. You might be looking at a valuable mint error that collectors dream about. Another common variety that adds to the excitement is the off-center strike. Sometimes, the coin blank isn't perfectly centered when struck by the die, resulting in an off-center image. Depending on how severe the misalignment is, such coins can fetch a premium. The more off-center the strike while still showing a clear date, the more valuable the penny becomes. There are also 1941 pennies with lamination errors, where the metal surface peels or flakes due to impurities in the metal. While not as glamorous as doubling errors, these coins are still desirable to collectors for their uniqueness. But what truly adds magic to this small copper coin is its story. Imagine this: a young man in 1941 using this very penny to buy a newspaper, perhaps reading about the war raging across Europe. Maybe a mother dropped it into her child's piggy bank, saving for a better future. Or perhaps a soldier kept one in his pocket as a good luck charm before leaving for the front lines. Each coin has a history, And every scratch or mark may tell a silent story of the person who once carried it. As the years passed, millions of these coins were lost, melted down, or forgotten in drawers. Yet, a few survived, perfectly preserved, untouched by time. Those are the coins that make collectors' hearts race. Today, numismatists, or coin experts, seek out the finest examples of the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny, and competition is fierce. High-grade coins, especially those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGCS, MS67, or higher, are considered treasures of the numismatic world. The reverse design of this coin, featuring 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, symbolizes prosperity and abundance, a fitting image during a time when America was recovering from the Great Depression and stepping into a new era. It's a design that was used from 1909 until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. So every wheat penny is a reminder of a bygone age of craftsmanship and national pride. Even though the 1941 penny was made of simple bronze, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, it carries far more emotional and historical weight than its humble composition suggests. As the war years progressed, copper became a critical material for ammunition and electrical components. By 1943, the mint had to switch to steel for pennies to conserve copper for the war effort. That means your 1941 penny is part of the last full series of true pre-war copper cents. Another reason collectors cherish it so deeply. If you're lucky enough to find one of these coins, pay close attention to its luster, strike, and color. A bright, red-toned penny with original mint shine is worth considerably more than one that has turned brown. Storage conditions, humidity, and even handling can affect the surface and value of the coin over time. That's why experts always recommend holding coins by their edges and keeping them in protective holders. Many coin enthusiasts share stories of finding 1941 wheat pennies in old jars, forgotten boxes, or inherited collections. These discoveries are like time capsules, a direct connection to the past. Imagine sifting through a handful of old pennies and realizing one of them might be worth more than an entire month's salary. That's the thrill of coin collecting, and it's why the 1941 penny continues to capture imaginations today. So, what's the bottom line? While the 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny might seem common at first, its real value lies in the details. If you have one in excellent condition, especially with a rare error or full red luster, you could be holding something extraordinary. Even well-circulated ones tell a powerful story and are cherished by collectors worldwide. Every coin is a tiny piece of American history, a copper witness to the struggles and triumphs of a nation on the brink of change. From factory workers in wartime America to collectors today, the 1941 penny connects generations across time. It's proof that even the smallest pieces of metal can carry immense value, not just in dollars, but in heritage, mystery, and pride. And yes, there are those few shining examples, coins so perfectly preserved that they have stunned collectors and auction houses alike. One particular 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny, in flawless mint condition and with brilliant luster, once sold for an astonishing $47,565. So before you overlook that old penny in your drawer or toss a handful of change aside, take a closer look. You might be holding a small fortune, and more importantly, a piece of America's timeless story, still shining after more than 8 decades. Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures you might already have sitting in your coin jar or tucked away in an old drawer. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in American history, the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny. This small copper coin has a story far greater than its size, and its value can surprise even the most experienced collectors. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn everything about this fascinating penny that could turn your pocket change into serious money. Let's start from the very beginning. The year 1944. The United States was in the midst of World War II. Factories were working around the clock, resources were scarce, and every bit of metal was precious. During the war, copper and tin were essential for making ammunition and military equipment. That's why, In 1943, the U.S. Mint made pennies out of zinc-coated steel instead of copper to save resources for the war effort. These 1943 steel pennies look silver in color and were magnetic, a big change from the usual reddish-brown copper color. However, the switch didn't go smoothly. People complained that the steel pennies rusted quickly, stuck to magnets, and were easily mistaken for dimes. So, in 1944, the mint decided to return to the traditional copper composition, but there was a twist. The copper used that year wasn't freshly mined metal. It came from recycled wartime shell casings. That's right, the 1944 wheat pennies were literally made from the remains of war. Imagine that, coins that carried the physical trace of the battlefields themselves. Now, the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny was produced in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint made over 1.4 billion of them, an enormous number. So at first glance, you might think this coin is extremely common and not worth much at all. But as with most coins, the devil is in the details. Even with billions made, certain features and rare variations can make one of these pennies worth thousands of dollars. Let's take a closer look at what makes the 1944 penny special. If you've ever looked at an old wheat penny, you know the design is classic. On the front, or obverse, we see Abraham Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, can be found on the reverse near the rim below the wheat stalks. The words "I in God we trust" are written along the top edge, with Liberty on the left and the date, 1944, on the right. Since this coin was made in Philadelphia, there's no mint mark below the date. Flip the coin over, and you'll see two wheat stalks curving inward from each side, enclosing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above them is the familiar phrase E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This design was in use from 1909 until 1958, and it remains one of the most iconic in U.S. coinage. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Even though most 1944 pennies were made of copper, there are some extremely rare errors that have become legendary among collectors. A few 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from the previous year, the 1943 steel cents. These are known as 1944 steel pennies, and they are among the rarest Lincoln cents ever made. Only a handful are known to exist, and each one has sold for tens of thousands of dollars. But we're focusing on the 1944 no-mint mark copper penny, which, even without being in error, can be valuable depending on its condition. When grading coins, collectors look at factors like the sharpness of the details, the color of the surface, and how much wear the coin has endured. There are three main color designations for copper coins: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. A full red example, bright and shiny as if freshly minted, is much rarer than a brown one that has darkened over time. So, how much is your 1944 penny worth? Well, an ordinary circulated 1944 no-mint mark penny might be worth just a few cents, maybe up to $1 or $2. But when you find one in mint-state condition, meaning it looks as crisp and clean as the day it was made, the value climbs significantly. Collectors pay close attention to the details on Lincoln's coat, beard, and hair, as well as the wheat stalks on the reverse. The sharper these details, the higher the grade, and the higher the value. The grading scale goes from poor P1 to perfect mint state, MS70. A 1944 penny graded MS65 or higher can easily sell for hundreds of dollars, especially if it has that rich red luster collectors love. Coins graded MS67 or MS68 are much rarer and can bring thousands of dollars at auction. Another factor that adds value is a coin's history or uniqueness. Coins with die cracks, double dies, or off-center strikes can fetch huge sums because they're one-of-a-kind errors. Some 1944 wheat pennies show doubled lettering on the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Others have small die chips that give Lincoln's eye or mouth an unusual appearance, known as BIE, or CUD, errors. Collectors love these imperfections because they're pieces of minting history frozen in metal. One of the most famous 1944 penny discoveries came from an ordinary person who noticed something strange about their pocket change. It turned out to be an uncirculated, bright red example that had somehow survived untouched for decades. When it went up for auction, experts were stunned by its pristine condition and fiery copper color. It sold for an astonishing amount, proving that even a coin you might overlook can hold hidden value. What makes the 1944 penny story even more fascinating is how it connects history, art, and economy. These pennies have traveled through time, from the war era of the 1940s to the modern day. Think about it, every 1944 penny you see has survived over 80 years of circulation, changing hands countless times. It's like a tiny time capsule from one of the most important decades in American history. If you want to check your own coins, here's what to look for. Make sure the date reads 1944 and there's no mint mark below it. Examine the coin's color. Red and glossy examples are more valuable than brown ones. Look closely for any doubling in the text or errors on the rim or wheat stalks. Finally, assess its condition under good lighting. Even small scratches can make a big difference in value. For storage, if you find a nice one, use a coin holder or airtight capsule to protect it from air and moisture. Never clean your coin, as that can scratch the surface and dramatically reduce its value. Some collectors also build entire Lincoln wheat penny sets, from 1909 to 1958, trying to collect every date and mint mark combination. The 1944 penny is a key piece in that series, affordable for beginners but also capable of surprising even advanced collectors with rare variations. And it's not just collectors who love these coins. Historians and coin enthusiasts alike are fascinated by how the 1944 penny reflects the wartime economy and the shift back to copper after the steel experiment of 1943. Each coin tells a story of American resilience, adaptation, and ingenuity during one of the toughest times in history. Now, imagine finding one of these coins in perfect, untouched condition, gleaming red with that warm copper tone. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of living history. A tangible connection to the past, to a time when families were rationing food, writing letters to soldiers overseas, and saving every penny they could. So, the next time you're sorting through your old change, don't ignore that worn wheat penny. Take a closer look. You might be holding something truly extraordinary, a small coin with a big story. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value. The highest recorded sale of a 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in brilliant uncirculated condition, with exceptional red luster and pristine surfaces, reached an incredible price of $41,255. Yes, you heard that right, over $41,000 for a single 1-cent coin. So keep your eyes open, your coin jars ready, and your curiosity alive. Because sometimes, history hides right in the palm of your hand. And who knows, the next fortune might be sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. Thanks for watching World Information HD. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible coin stories and hidden treasures from the past. Until next time, keep searching, because the next rare coin could be yours. Welcome back to World Information HD, the ultimate place for rare coin lovers, collectors, and treasure hunters who dream of discovering hidden wealth inside ordinary pocket change. Today, we are diving deep into the mysterious and fascinating world of the 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that looks so simple, yet carries with it stories of post-war America, numismatic surprises, and values that can make your jaw drop. So sit back, relax, and imagine this. You reach into your old jar of coins, pull out a worn, copper penny, and without realizing it, you're holding something that might be worth thousands of dollars. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, this little coin from 1946 has shocked collectors around the world with its rarity, minting errors, and historical charm that make it a true piece of American history. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to go back to the year 1946, a time when the United States was just stepping out of the dark shadow of World War II. The war had ended the previous year, and America was rebuilding. Factories were switching from producing military equipment to making consumer goods again, and people were filled with hope and pride. The Lincoln wheat penny, featuring the face of the 16th President Abraham Lincoln, had already become a familiar sight in the hands of Americans. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, the coin was first issued to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. For decades, this coin circulated across the country, carrying both value and meaning, a reminder of the man who preserved the Union and ended slavery. By 1946, the U.S. Mint had produced billions of Lincoln cents. But here's the twist: not all pennies were created equal. Some were struck under unusual conditions, with small but significant differences that collectors today are desperate to find. And that's where the 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny becomes interesting. This coin was minted in Philadelphia, the main mint facility of the United States, which traditionally did not use a mint mark. So, when you look at a 1946 penny and notice there's no little letter under the date, that means it came from Philadelphia. But while billions were produced, only a small number have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, and those few can bring serious money to the right collector. At first glance, this penny looks quite ordinary. It's made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, the standard composition used for most wheat cents before 1982. The obverse shows Abraham Lincoln's bust facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," arching above his head, Liberty, to the left, and the year 1946 to the right. The reverse features the famous wheat ears on each side, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E Pluribus Unum across the top. But don't let its simple design fool you. It's what's inside the details that makes all the difference. You see, coins like the 1946 no-mint mark penny can have small variations, such as doubling on the letters, weak strikes, or slight misalignments that make them unique. These mint errors are what collectors crave the most, as they add a story and rarity factor to each piece. Some of the most notable varieties of the 1946 Lincoln penny include the 1946 double die obverse, where parts of the date and lettering appear doubled due to a die misalignment during striking. Another rare variation is the off-center strike, where part of the coin's design is missing because it wasn't properly centered in the minting press. There are also repunched mint mark versions from other mints like Denver D and San Francisco S, though the no-mint mark Philadelphia issue is special in its own right for its clean, classic appearance and scarcity in gem condition. Now, let's talk about condition, one of the biggest factors in a coin's value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 1 being barely identifiable and 70 representing a perfect, flawless strike. For most circulated 1946 pennies, you might get only a few cents, maybe up to $1, depending on where. But if you find one that's been carefully preserved, showing all its original luster and sharp details, its value skyrockets. Collectors and grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, carefully examine each penny to determine its quality. A 1946 no-mint mark penny in MS-60 grade might sell for around $10 to $20. But if it reaches the rare gem grades like MS-66 or MS-67, where the coin shines like the day it was minted, the value can leap into hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It's also worth noting that 1946 marked the first full year after the wartime steel cents of 1943. During the war, copper was urgently needed for ammunition, so the mint made pennies out of zinc-coated steel. But after 1945, copper returned to coinage, making the 1946 pennies symbolic. They were coins of peace and recovery. Collectors love these kinds of historical transitions. They represent more than money, they reflect the changing spirit of a nation. And because millions of the 1946 pennies were lost, damaged, or melted down over the years, finding one in pristine condition is like uncovering a relic from a hopeful era. You might be wondering, how can I check if I have one of these valuable coins? The first step is to grab a magnifying glass and look closely at your old pennies. Check the date, 1946. Then look just below the date. If there's no mint mark, that's from Philadelphia. Examine the coin's surface. Is it bright, shiny, and free from scratches? Are Lincoln's cheek and jawline clearly visible? Is the wheat on the reverse crisp and full of lines? If yes, you could have something special. If you're serious about finding out, you can take your coin to a professional grader or local coin shop. They can assess its authenticity and grade it for you. Coins in higher mint states are often sealed in protective plastic holders with certification labels. These are the coins that collectors buy and sell at auctions. Auction houses have seen surprising results for this penny. Over the years, several high-grade 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies have fetched eye-popping prices. For instance, in top condition, they can bring thousands of dollars depending on the demand and the shine of that copper glow. But what really drives the excitement is the story behind the coin. Every Lincoln cent carries with it over a century of American history. From the Great Depression to the post-war boom, from the steel cents of 1943 to the transition back to copper, these coins witnessed the changing hands of millions of Americans, from factory workers to soldiers returning home. The 1946 penny is not just a piece of metal, it's a memory frozen in time. Imagine how many of these coins passed through diner counters, train stations, and old general stores. Each one may have bought a stick of gum, a newspaper, or a child's first candy. That's the beauty of coin collecting. You're not just holding money, you're holding history. Even today, thousands of collectors search through old jars, thrift stores, and estate sales, hoping to uncover that one perfect penny that others overlooked. So, the next time you come across a 1946 Lincoln wheat cent, don't dismiss it. Give it a close look. You might be staring at a tiny fortune. It's fascinating how a coin that once had the simplest of values, 1 cent, could now be worth enough to change someone's day, or even their life. And that's what keeps the coin collecting community alive and passionate. Every coin has a story, and every story has value. So, whether you're a lifelong collector or just a curious beginner, always remember, treasures don't always shine like gold or glitter like diamonds. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, in the palm of your hand, waiting to be recognized. And who knows? Maybe your old penny jar holds a miracle coin too, because one of these beautiful 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies, in its flawless mint state condition, once sold for an astonishing $39,476. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin that traveled through time, history, and countless hands, now worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, go check your coins. You might just be holding a hidden piece of American history, and a fortune in copper. Thanks for watching World Information HD, where every coin tells a story, and every story might lead to hidden wealth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing coin discoveries that could change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The year was 1951, a time when America was still rebuilding its strength after the war, a time when coins carry not only value but stories of history, art, and craftsmanship. Among the humble coins circulating through the pockets of everyday Americans, one stood out to collectors and historians alike: the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it looks like just another copper coin with the image of Abraham Lincoln, but under the surface lies an incredible story of rarity, minting precision, and numismatic beauty that makes this small 1-cent piece worth far more than its face value. Every Lincoln wheat penny tells a part of American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin was first minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse, or front side, proudly features Lincoln's portrait, a design so iconic it continues today on modern pennies. The reverse side of the 1951 wheat penny showcases 2 wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent, a symbol of prosperity, growth, and resilience. These simple details hold decades of meaning, connecting the coin to America's agricultural and industrial heart. Now, let's take a deeper look into what makes the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny such an exciting piece for coin collectors and enthusiasts. This coin was minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark below the date. The Denver Mint produced a large number of these coins, over 625 million to be exact. Because of this high mintage, most of these coins were circulated and used in everyday transactions. But here's where it gets interesting. While most were common, A small number of these coins were struck with exceptional quality or under unusual conditions that made them rare and highly sought after today. Imagine a penny minted more than 70 years ago still gleaming with its original luster, sharp details on Lincoln's coat, a strong strike on the date and mint mark, and not a single scratch or wear mark in sight. That's what collectors dream about, a coin preserved perfectly as if it had just left the mint yesterday. These high-grade examples are the ones that command high prices at auctions and among coin dealers. When examining the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat penny, the condition of the coin is everything. Collectors classify condition on a scale from good to mint state. A heavily worn coin might be worth only a few cents, but a coin graded in mint state, especially in grades MS65, MS66, or higher, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The difference between a common penny and a rare collectible can come down to just a few microscopic scratches or the strength of the mint strike. So what exactly should you look for if you happen to have a 1951 D Lincoln Wheat penny in your collection or pocket change? First, look closely at the overall color and surface. Original red or red-brown copper color is highly desirable. Coins that have been kept out of circulation and protected from oxidation retain their bright red luster, something collectors love. Secondly, examine Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and the details in his hair and coat. A strong, crisp strike means better value. Lastly, check the mint mark. The D on some coins appears slightly misplaced or shows doubling, an error that can dramatically increase a coin's value. Speaking of errors, let's talk about some of the fascinating minting errors and variations that make certain 1951 D Wheat pennies worth serious money. Some coins were struck off-center, meaning the design wasn't perfectly aligned with the coin blank. Others showed die cracks, raised lines caused by small breaks in the die that struck the coin. These imperfections make the coins unique and collectible. There are also double die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled, especially in the date or lettering. Even a small doubling can turn an ordinary coin into a rare find worth hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on its grade and visibility. Another thing collectors pay attention to is toning, the natural color changes that happen over decades. While some collectors prefer bright red pennies, others love the beautiful rainbow tones that develop from age and exposure. A penny with deep golden or multicolored hues can be especially eye-catching and desirable to those who appreciate the artistry of coin collecting. Now, let's take a step back into history and imagine 1951 America. The average person earned less than $3,000 a year. A penny still had real buying power. It could buy a stick of gum, a handful of candies, or help make exact change at the corner store. Millions of these Lincoln Wheat pennies passed through the hands of workers, soldiers returning from war, housewives buying groceries, and children saving them in piggy banks. Few of them could have imagined that one of these tiny copper coins might one day become a collector's treasure worth thousands. The materials used to make the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat penny also add to its charm. Each coin was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that rich reddish-brown hue that changes beautifully with time. Because copper is a reactive metal, exposure to air and moisture often darkens the coin. That's why finding one with full, bright luster is rare today. Many pennies have oxidized or developed brown surfaces over the decades, making high-quality uncirculated examples more valuable. Over time, collectors began to realize that not all pennies were created equal. The minting process, though mechanical, still had room for human error and subtle variations. Some dies were used longer than others, causing weak strikes or doubling. Some coins were struck on slightly imperfect planchets, leading to tiny bumps, cracks, or distortions. To numismatists, coin experts, these flaws tell a story of how each coin was born. The 1951 D penny's charm lies not just in its design but in its individuality. If you ever decide to have your coin evaluated, professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, can certify your coin's authenticity and condition. Once graded and encapsulated, your coin's market value becomes much clearer. For instance, a 1951 D Lincoln Wheat penny graded MS67 red, nearly flawless, has sold for thousands at auction, while lower-grade coins still hold value for collectors completing their Lincoln cent sets. Collectors often seek complete sets of Lincoln wheat pennies from 1909 to 1958, the final year of the wheat design before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. Within that collection, the 1951D holds a special place as one of the last high-quality strikes from the post-war era. It represents an age when the mint's machinery was advancing, yet coins still carried a handcrafted feel. Now, what makes the 1951D penny especially appealing to collectors today is that it bridges two generations. It's old enough to be considered vintage, but recent enough that it's still possible to find in circulation, estate sales, or old family coin jars. Many people have discovered one tucked away in a box of change, not realizing its hidden potential. If you want to preserve a 1951D penny, store it carefully. Keep it in a dry, temperature-controlled environment. Use coin holders or albums that prevent scratches and oxidation. Never clean your coins, even if they look dirty. Cleaning can permanently reduce their value. Collectors prefer original surfaces, even with minor toning or discoloration, over artificially brightened coins. What's truly fascinating about coins like the 1951D wheat penny is how they connect generations. A simple penny can tell stories of the past, of factories minting coins during the rise of modern America, of children collecting pennies to fill Blue Whitman folders, and of the evolution of coin design and minting technology. To many, it's not just a coin, it's a tangible piece of history, one that has traveled through countless hands before finding its way into yours. Every time a 1951D Lincoln wheat penny appears at auction, collectors watch with excitement. Prices can vary widely based on condition, errors, and color. Some uncirculated examples with exceptional red luster and strong strikes have achieved impressive values. The combination of rarity, preservation, and demand continues to push the value of this coin higher each year. And so, what started as a small copper coin worth just 1 cent in 1951 has become a symbol of American history and craftsmanship, a tiny treasure for those who appreciate its beauty and story. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a beginner just discovering the world of coins, the 1951D Lincoln wheat penny is a reminder that sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value. Because believe it or not, one of these remarkable 1951D mint mark Lincoln wheat pennies has been sold for an astonishing amount of $38,993. Welcome to World Information HD, your ultimate destination for learning about the rarest and most valuable coins ever produced in the history of the United States. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story of one remarkable and often overlooked treasure, the 1952D Lincoln wheat penny. What appears to be just an ordinary old copper cent from the 1950s could actually hold a surprising fortune if you happen to find one in your pocket, coin jar, or inherited collection. So sit back, relax, and let's uncover the secrets, details, and hidden value behind this small but powerful piece of American history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series began in 1909, created to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait, an important shift in the artistic and historical identity of American coinage. The design captured Lincoln's noble profile on the obverse, or front side, and a pair of wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity and national growth. For decades, these pennies circulated through millions of hands, quietly serving as daily currency while also carrying the legacy of one of America's greatest presidents. Now, fast forward to the early 1950s, a time when the United States was emerging from the shadows of World War II, industry was booming, and millions of coins were being minted each year to fuel a growing economy. Among these was the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, struck at several mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Today, we're focusing on the version minted in Denver, easily identified by the small D mint mark just below the date on the coin's obverse. At first glance, the 1952D Lincoln cent looks like nothing more than a simple copper coin. It weighs 3.11 grams and is composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the standard alloy used for pennies before 1982. But beneath that reddish-brown shine lies a story of rarity, condition, and collector demand that makes this coin far more special than most realize. The Denver Mint produced an enormous number of these coins, over 746 million, to be exact. Because of this high mintage, you might think it's common and not worth much. However, the real value of any coin doesn't come from how many were made, but rather how many survived in pristine, untouched condition. Most 1952 pennies were heavily circulated, passed through millions of hands, scraped in pockets, and worn down in everyday use. Very few were preserved in gem-quality condition, which makes those surviving examples incredibly valuable today. When collectors talk about condition, they refer to the grade of the coin. A grade is determined by the amount of wear, luster, color, and detail remaining. A heavily circulated penny with visible scratches and faded lettering might only be worth a few cents. But a coin that remains bright, sharp, and nearly flawless, known as mint state, could be worth thousands. The most prized versions of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny are those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. These grading scales go up to MS-70, a theoretical perfect coin with no visible marks even under magnification. Coins at this level are incredibly rare, and collectors are willing to pay astonishing sums to own them. What makes the 1952 particularly fascinating are its subtle variations and errors, small minting mistakes that occurred during production. These varieties can drastically boost the coin's value. Some examples include doubled dies, where parts of the lettering or design appear doubled because of a misalignment during the minting process. Others show off center strikes, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks, where the D was accidentally stamped twice or slightly misaligned. These era coins are highly sought after and often command premium prices in the coin market. For instance, a 1952 penny with a noticeable repunched mint mark, commonly referred to as RPM, can be worth significantly more than its standard counterpart. In some cases, collectors have paid hundreds or even thousands of dollars for such varieties, depending on their clarity and rarity. Another crucial factor in determining value is the coin's color designation: red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN. Over time, copper coins naturally darken due to oxidation. However, coins that have retained their bright red original luster are far more desirable. A 1952 penny graded MS-67 red is an exceptional find and can reach impressive figures at auction. Imagine discovering one of these shining, gem-red examples in an old coin collection, completely untouched by time. For many collectors, that's the dream, finding that one penny that defied decades of wear and survived in near-perfect condition. Let's talk about the history that adds depth to this coin's story. In 1952, America was in the midst of post-war prosperity. Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected president, television was becoming a household staple, and coins like the 1952 penny were a part of everyday life. Children saved them in piggy banks, soldiers kept them as good luck charms, and businesses handed them out as change countless times a day. Few would have imagined that decades later these humble copper cents would become objects of intense fascination and value. Collectors today appreciate the 1952 not just for its potential worth, but for what it represents: an era of simplicity, craftsmanship, and history. Each penny tells a story, bearing the marks of the mint workers, the machinery, and even the errors that slipped through unnoticed. When examining one of these coins, pay close attention to the details. Look at Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. The sharper these features, the better the grade. Examine the wheat ears on the reverse. The finer and more visible the lines, the higher the quality. Even small differences can mean a jump of hundreds or thousands of dollars in value. Collectors often use magnifying lenses to spot these details and to ensure there are no signs of cleaning or damage. Ironically, cleaning a coin can actually reduce its value dramatically, as it can scratch or alter the original surface. A naturally preserved, original surface with even toning is far more desirable. If you're someone who enjoys treasure hunting through old coins, you might want to check rolls of pennies from banks, inherited coin jars, or estate sales. Many rare coins have been discovered this way, hiding in plain sight for decades. You never know when you might come across that one special penny that changes everything. Auction houses and online marketplaces have seen surprising results for high-grade 1952 Lincoln Wheat pennies. Collectors from around the world compete to own the best-preserved examples. Prices can vary widely depending on condition, color, and any special varieties, but the top-graded coins consistently fetch premium prices that continue to rise with time. Another fascinating aspect of the 1952 penny's appeal lies in its place within the broader Lincoln Wheat series. The Wheat reverse design was replaced in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making the 1952 penny one of the last in this historic design family. This transition adds a layer of nostalgia and historical value, increasing its collectability even further. When you think about it, holding a 1952 wheat penny is like holding a small piece of mid-20th century America, a time capsule from a world that has changed so much. From the factories of the Denver Mint to the pockets of millions of Americans, these coins have traveled through history, surviving wars, economic changes, and cultural revolutions. Today, collectors value not just the coin itself but the story it tells, of craftsmanship, legacy, and the enduring beauty of copper coinage. Even the imperfections make it special, transforming a simple cent into a prized artifact that connects generations. So the next time you come across an old Lincoln penny, don't overlook it. Check the date, look for the mint mark, and study its details carefully. That tiny D under the date might just signify something extraordinary. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny proves that great value can come in small packages. What was once a humble 1-cent piece can now stand as a shining example of numismatic history, a symbol of how even the simplest coins can hide remarkable stories and astonishing worth. And as for the record, the most valuable 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny ever sold at auction reached an incredible price of $34,524. Yes, you heard that right, a single copper penny. Once worth just 1 cent, transformed into a coin worth a small fortune. So keep your eyes open, because the next valuable coin might be sitting right in your change jar, waiting to be discovered. Thank you for watching World Information HD. Welcome to World Information HD, the place where every tiny coin could hold an extraordinary story and unimaginable fortune. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating treasures hidden in American pocket change, the 1954 Mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny. A small copper coin that many people overlook, yet some collectors are willing to pay incredible amounts for it. So stay tuned till the end, because this isn't just another penny, it's a symbol of history, mystery, and pure luck that could turn a single cent into thousands of dollars. Let's take a journey back to the mid-20th century, the year 1954. America was alive with optimism after World War II. The economy was booming, cars were getting sleeker, and families were moving into new suburban homes. In the midst of this thriving era, the United States Mint in Denver was hard at work striking millions of 1-cent coins that would later become an essential part of American coin history. These coins bore the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, whose legacy of unity and leadership still echoed through the nation. At first glance, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny might appear like any other old copper coin. It features Lincoln's portrait on the front, his sharp profile, the word, Liberty, on the left, and the date, 1954, on the right. Just beneath that date lies the small but crucial letter D, indicating that it was minted in Denver, Colorado. On the reverse side, you'll find 2 wheat stalks curling gracefully along the edges, a symbol that gives this coin series its nickname, the Wheat Penny. Between them are the words, 1 cent, United States of America, and the timeless motto, E pluribus unum. But what makes this particular penny so fascinating isn't just its design, it's the story it carries. You see, 1954 was near the end of the wheat penny era, which ran from 1909 to 1958. By the late 1950s, the United States Mint was preparing to switch to the Lincoln Memorial design, which would replace the wheat stalks forever. That's what gives coins from the early and mid-1950s a nostalgic edge. They were among the last of their kind, marking the end of an era for collectors. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Denver Mint produced a huge number of pennies in 1954, more than 251 million to be exact. Because of that, most people assume they're common and worth only a cent or two. However, what makes coin collecting so thrilling is that even within massive mint runs, there are rare gems that stand out due to minting errors, condition, and special variations. These are the coins that can transform a simple penny into a treasure worth thousands. Let's talk about the minting process for a moment. Every coin is struck by two dies, one for the front and one for the back. These dies can wear out or get damaged during production, leading to fascinating variations. The 1954 Dewey penny has several known errors that make it incredibly desirable among collectors. One of the most famous is the repunched mint mark, often abbreviated as RPM. This happens when the Denver D mint mark was accidentally punched into the die more than once, creating a shadow or doubling effect. Under magnification, you can see traces of the extra D, which makes these coins stand out immediately. Another rare variety is the double die penny, where parts of the coin's design, such as the date or lettering, appear double due to misalignment during striking. These double die examples are much scarcer and command impressive prices when found in good condition. A crisp and bold double die 1954 D penny can make a collector's heart race. But mint errors aren't the only factor driving the coin's value. Condition plays a major role too. Most pennies you find in circulation are worn from years of handling, scratches, faded luster, and discoloration. But if a coin has been preserved carefully, showing sharp details and that original red or reddish-brown glow, it becomes a prime candidate for grading. Grading is like giving a coin a report card. It ranges from poor all the way up to mint state grades, labeled as MS60 through MS70. Coins graded above MS65 are considered extremely high quality, with perfect details and little to no visible marks. When a 1954 Dewey penny appears in one of these top grades, collectors start competing fiercely for it. Imagine finding one of these in your old coin jar, hidden away in a box or passed down through your family. You might think it's just a dull penny, until you look closer and realize it could be a highly sought-after rarity. Some of these coins are sold in specialized auctions where bidding wars break out among passionate collectors. Now, let's dig a little deeper into the metal composition and history of this coin. The 1954 D Lincoln Wheat penny is made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition used for most pennies before 1982. This copper content gives it that rich, warm tone and distinctive sound when dropped. Interestingly, copper pennies from this period are already worth more than their face value just in metal content alone. But for collectors, the real value lies far beyond the metal. Throughout the years, stories have surfaced of lucky individuals discovering valuable wheat pennies in the most unexpected places, from old dresser drawers to dusty piggy banks. Each story reignites the excitement of treasure hunting within everyday change. And every time a rare era coin is discovered, it reminds us that even the smallest objects from the past can carry enormous value today. Let's not forget that this coin also represents a piece of Lincoln's enduring legacy. The wheat penny was originally introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. The artist Victor David Brenner designed the portrait, and over time, it became one of the most recognized designs in American history. By 1954, this coin had already been in circulation for 45 years, a long and iconic run that made it a beloved collectible. Now imagine what makes the 1954 D stand apart from others. It's not just the fact that it's a product of the Denver Mint, it's that some of these coins have survived in extraordinary condition for over 7 decades. The rarity of finding one in pristine, uncirculated state is what sends its value soaring. Many have been stored away in coin rolls, forgotten in attics, or preserved by collectors who recognized their historical significance early on. There's also something deeply satisfying about holding a piece of 1950s history in your hand. This was the era of Elvis Presley's early hits, the rise of television, the space race on the horizon, and a sense of hope across America. Each 1954 penny that survived is a tiny time capsule, connecting the modern world with the dreams of a generation gone by. Collectors look for certain visual traits when evaluating a 1954 penny, such as full, sharp details on Lincoln's hair and beard, clean edges, and a smooth, glossy finish. Even the smallest variations in color, from bright red to deep brown, can affect value. Coins labeled red are often worth more because they retain that fresh from the mint brilliance. Some exceptional 1954 pennies have been graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, two of the most trusted authorities in the coin world. These coins, once authenticated and encapsulated, can fetch surprisingly high prices at auctions. Now, here's where we arrive at the exciting part: the value. While most circulated 1954 wheat pennies are worth anywhere from a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on their wear, certain rare examples in mint state condition can fetch a fortune. Coins with perfect strike quality, eye-catching luster, and those elusive mint errors can command jaw-dropping prices. Collectors and auction houses have seen pristine 1954 Lincoln wheat pennies sell for thousands of dollars, especially those with proof-like finishes or unique doubling effects. And the most remarkable sales often happen quietly. Private collectors and investors competing for a chance to own a perfect piece of American history. So, if you ever stumble upon a 1954 wheat penny in your collection or pocket change, take a close look. Examine the details, check for doubling on the date or the mint mark, and if it looks flawless, it might be worth sending for professional grading. You never know what treasure you might be holding in your hand, because one day, that tiny copper coin you once thought was worth a single cent could surprise you with its incredible hidden fortune. And yes, one rare, uncirculated, and perfectly preserved 1954 Lincoln wheat penny has sold for a breathtaking price of $23,545. So keep your eyes open, check your change carefully, and never underestimate the power of the smallest coin in your pocket. You might just hold history, and a fortune, in the palm of your hand. Welcome to World Information HD, where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be lying in your change jar, tucked away in your drawer, or forgotten in an old coin album. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the United States of America 1955 mint mark Lincoln wheat penny. This tiny 1-cent coin, made of humble copper, holds stories of history, rarity, and mystery. You may have walked past hundreds of pennies in your lifetime, but one of them, just one, could make you a small fortune. The Lincoln wheat penny series has long fascinated collectors for its beautiful design, historical importance, and unexpected surprises hidden among its many mint years. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny quickly became a symbol of American pride. Designed by Victor David Brenner, its obverse features the beloved profile of President Lincoln, a portrait that has become an enduring part of U.S. coinage. The reverse side displays two wheat stalks arching gracefully, a tribute to prosperity and agricultural abundance. But behind this simple design lies a world of hidden treasures and varieties that collectors have chased for generations. The 1955 Lincoln wheat penny is one such coin that stands apart from the rest. Minted in Denver, Colorado, it carries the small but significant D mark below the date. In the mid-1950s, the Denver Mint was one of 3 facilities striking U.S. coins, alongside Philadelphia and San Francisco, and produced hundreds of millions of pennies each year. But not all coins are created equal. While billions of common cents were minted, a select few were struck under special conditions, with remarkable precision, or preserved in pristine condition. And that's where the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny earns its fame and fortune. Let's first explore the year 1955. The United States was enjoying a post-war economic boom. Gas cost around 23 cents a gallon, a loaf of bread was just 18 cents, and a penny still meant something in the average household. Kids could buy candy with a handful of copper coins, and the Lincoln penny was as common as pocket lint. But in the world of coin collecting, 1955 became a legendary year, largely because of the famous 1955 double die error from the Philadelphia Mint. That coin, with its dramatically doubled inscriptions, became one of the most famous minting errors in history. However, while everyone was focused on the doubled die from Philadelphia, the Denver Mint quietly produced its own rare gems, the 1955 Dewey pennies that would, decades later, rise in value for their pristine condition and striking details. What makes a 1955 D penny valuable? Several factors determine the worth of this copper treasure. The first and most obvious is condition. Like all collectibles, condition plays a huge role in coin value. A penny that has been passed around in pockets for decades, scratched, and worn, will only fetch its face value. But a coin that has survived in near-perfect mint state, with its luster intact and no scratches or wear marks, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors seek out coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, with designations like MS65, MS66, or even the elusive MS67. The higher the grade, the more stunning the coin, and the higher the price climbs. Next, we look at strike quality. The Denver Mint in 1955 was known for producing coins with sharp, clean strikes. But not all coins came out perfectly. Some had weak details, especially around Lincoln's hair, beard, and the wheat ears on the reverse. Coins with strong, crisp details and a bright red luster are highly desirable. A red RD coin indicates full copper brilliance, while red-brown, RB or brown, BN, coins have lost some of their color over time. A fully red, well-struck 1955 D penny in mint condition is an absolute beauty, a shining relic of mid-century American craftsmanship. But condition and color aren't the only factors. Collectors also hunt for varieties and errors. While the Philadelphia 1955 double die takes the crown for famous errors, some rare die varieties exist for the 1955 D as well. These include repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D was struck more than once, resulting in a slightly shadowed or doubled appearance. Other minor errors include die cracks, die chips, or off-center strikes. To the untrained eye, these may look like small imperfections, but to collectors, they are valuable quirks that tell the story of how coins were made before advanced automation took over. Imagine holding a coin that has survived 70 years of history. It has passed through generations, seen wars, recessions, celebrations, and the rise of modern America. The copper in that coin might have been mined decades earlier, melted, refined, and struck with the face of a president who stood for unity and justice. And now, after all that time, it could be sitting in your pocket, a time capsule of the 1950s waiting to be rediscovered. Let's talk numbers. The total mintage of the 1955 Dewey penny was an astounding 563 million coins. That's right, over 500 million. Yet, only a handful have survived in perfect condition. Over time, most were spent, worn, lost, or corroded. It's those few that escaped circulation, preserved carefully in rolls, mint sets, or private collections, that command serious attention today. A circulated example may only be worth a few cents, but a gem mint state coin can skyrocket into the hundreds or thousands. Collectors value the 1955 D penny not only for its beauty but for its connection to a golden era of American coinage. The wheat penny design, with its simple elegance, ended in 1958, making the 1955 issues among the last of their kind. In 1959, the reverse design changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, marking a new chapter in U.S. coin history. That transition adds sentimental and historical value to the 1955 D penny, as it represents one of the final years of the classic wheat design beloved by generations of collectors. But the thrill of coin collecting isn't just in owning a piece of history, it's in the hunt. Thousands of coin enthusiasts comb through pocket change, coin rolls, and estate collections every day, hoping to uncover one of these rare gems. It's the excitement of possibility, that any ordinary day could turn extraordinary if you spot the right coin. If you want to check whether your 1955 D penny is valuable, start by examining its color and shine. Hold it under bright light and see if it still retains its reddish glow. Look closely at Lincoln's features, his cheekbones, beard lines, and the details of his coat. Flip the coin and inspect the wheat stalks. Are the fine lines crisp and well defined? If so, you might have something special. And if your penny looks unusually sharp and brilliant, it could be worth sending to a professional grading service. Some collectors have even found hidden treasures among ordinary-looking coins. For instance, a small batch of 1955 pennies preserved in uncirculated condition decades ago has sold for surprising prices at auctions. Many of these coins were stored away in bank rolls or tucked inside coin albums by hobbyists who, without realizing it, preserved history. Today, when these coins resurface, they often fetch bids that surprise even seasoned collectors. As the years pass, the availability of high-grade 1955 wheat pennies continues to shrink. Copper naturally oxidizes and darkens over time, meaning the bright red luster fades unless the coin is stored under ideal conditions. That's why collectors prize those rare examples that remain untouched by time, perfectly preserved in their fiery copper glory. These coins don't just represent monetary value, they embody the craftsmanship and history of mid-century America. So next time you see a worn old penny on your dresser or find one hiding in a forgotten jar, take a moment to look closer. That small, unassuming coin might be a link to America's past, and possibly a hidden treasure worth far more than a single cent. The story of the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny is a story of endurance, history, and unexpected value hidden in plain sight. And if you ever stumble across a gleaming 1955 wheat penny that seems too perfect to be ordinary, you might just be holding something worth a small fortune. Because a rare, uncirculated, red-tone 1955 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny has been known to sell for as much as $18,573. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass ready, and your curiosity alive. Because in the world of coin collecting, even a single penny can hold the key to an incredible discovery.